Donald Trump's cabinet secretaries are seemingly always in this constant competition to see who can be the worst at their job. And while Kash Patel and Pam Bondi have been going back and forth with that claim to fame as of recently, this week the dishonor certainly belongs to Pete Hegseth, not only because he's being mocked by generals, not only in our country, but around the world for a very strange meeting he decided to call, and not only for the fact that Donald Trump is now invading Portland, but because a video of Pete Hegseth, seemingly off the sauce a little bit, is going viral, and we are going to get into it. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we can get into that really weird and viral video, I want to start with the meeting that Pete Hegseth has called that is raising all sorts of concerns. Hegseth mocked for generals meet. Could have been an email. Ever embattled Pete Hegseth is under fire for calling top brass away from their command post to attend a short speech on the warrior ethos. The defense secretary, who now goes by his title Secretary of War, and who's consistently drawn criticisms for his prioritization of topics at the Pentagon, has apparently demanded that every military official above the rank of one-star general fly in for a Tuesday meeting in Virginia, even if they're stationed abroad. People with knowledge of plans for that event revealed to the Washington Post that the former Fox News personality intends to make a video of his brief address, which will focus on military standards and culture, and that he asked for top brass because guys with the stars on their shoulders make for a better audience from an optics standpoint. While the White House insists the meeting will serve as a show of force, social media has granted Hegseth little mercy in the hours since news of his plans first broke. Definitely a meeting that could have been an email, one user wrote on Blue Sky. My dad was a colonel who trained pilots going into battle, another user said. If he'd been summoned to a lecture about the warrior ethos from a Fox News host, he may have dive-bombed the Pentagon. California Governor Gavin Newsom, whose social media team have lately sought to emulate the kind of viral Trumpisms that won MAGA the election last year, was also quick to get in the action, writing, "Poor Petey Hegseth," Newsom posted on X, "wants to be taken seriously, but looks like the guy from TLC fired from Duck Dynasty." He added in a weird deep cut reference to the A&E reality TV show of the name about a Louisiana family who sell duck hunting products. Weak, no brains, no talent, zero future, the governor went on. He wants to be Secretary of War, but cannot even throw an axe or do a pull-up. Sad. So everyone's having a lot of fun with how unqualified and embarrassing Pete Hegseth is, I'm sure, except for those actual military generals who have better things to be doing with their time than allowing Pete Hegseth to make a stupid social media video. A stupid social media video so stupid that Donald Trump wasn't even briefed on it, and even if he was, he's forgotten because it's so idiotic. But listen to what his response was when Donald Trump was asked about Pete's decision.
Secretary Hegseth is inviting military leaders from all around the country on Tuesday. Will you also be there?
From all around the country to what?
To Virginia.
He's inviting the generals and admirals to Virginia for a big meeting.
Well, I know. I love it. I mean, I think it's great. Let him be friendly. Let him be friendly with the generals and admirals from all over the world. Why? Is there something? No, but is there something wrong with it?
And what is it about? Will you be there personally as well? And what is it about?
Well, I'll be there if they want me, but why is that such a big deal? I mean, the fact that we're getting along with the generals and admirals from all. Remember, I'm the president of peace. It's good to get along. It's good. You act like this is a bad thing. Isn't it nice that people are coming from all over the world to be with us?
It's not particularly unusual that generals who report to the Secretary of War and then to the President of the United States are coming to speak with the Secretary of War. It's actually not unusual at all, and I think it's odd that you guys have made it into such a big story.
And while Trump didn't know about this meeting, he did know that he was sending Pete Hegseth and Kristi Noem to order troops to protect, in his words, war-ravaged Portland and any of our ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa. Okay, so Trump doesn't know that Pete Hegseth is planning to take generals off of their posts doing important work, keeping us safe, to bring them to like his little fun fest. It's going to be like Charlie Kirk funeral pyrotechnics, and he's going to come out like that scene in Rocky when Apollo Creed's living in America. And like that's going to keep us like safe. No, it's not going to keep us safe, not at all. And neither will sending troops to Portland. None of this makes sense. It just underscores and emphasizes how idiotic and dangerous the people in place are, especially when this little video right here of Pete Hegseth enjoying a little Vikings Commanders came out. He's not really hitting that gritty, that dance move too well. Pete is also, if you can see right in that video, he's got a little bit of a Bud Light in front of him. Pete certainly off the sauce when that video was taken, looking a little embarrassing. It's not as bad as the pull-up video when he's like flailing, but Pete going a little viral this week for everyone remembering that the guy currently running the Pentagon is a drunk. Like, those aren't great dance moves. I don't really... Maybe I'll put it out on a little members only. Maybe I can hit the gritty and we can do a little competition. But Pete clearly off the sauce there. Had a couple of sodas, to put it lightly. But this is our Secretary of Defense. This is the guy calling up top generals from their post around the world to watch him come and give a lecture. That is what Pete Hegseth is focused on. That is what Donald Trump is focused on. It is all optics all the time for these people. That is so important to recognize, that everything that has happened under this administration has fundamentally been about the show that they can make out of it. Charlie Kirk's funeral was like a WWE match. And I know that people will say, oh, you shouldn't say unkind words or belittle his widow. I don't really care. She married Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was a piece of shit. It tells me everything I need to know about her character. But she's sending out like these email blasts right now, being like, if you miss Charlie as much as I do, then I need you to donate $20. It's like, this is just a grift. It's all a grift. Charlie Kirk's funeral was a grift. Pete Hegseth's little warrior video is a grift. He's just trying to get attention. It's the reason why we saw Kash Patel send out his little tweet saying that he got the Charlie Kirk killer before he did, had to backtrack that. Why he sent out that little post on Twitter with the Sharpie written anti-ice on the bullet casings. I don't really trust any of that. I don't want to say it's fake because I don't want to go that far. I will say I don't trust it. I don't know why we have to trust the FBI that's covering up the Epstein files, that FBI. I got to trust that FBI. Get the fuck out of here. I'm not doing that. But Pete Hegseth is clearly just a joke. He is a Fox News personality who is incompetent and often inebriated. He was certainly inebriated in that video. I don't know if he'll have a couple sodas, maybe a couple G&Ts before his big speech, get him hyped up. But I also think it's important to point out that video was taken before he was Secretary of War, Secretary of Defense, whatever you want to call it. We'll call it Secretary of Defense. Pete Hegseth, is he drinking on the job? I don't know. Possibly, but that video, I know he said he'd put down the old G&Ts, but I don't know. His focus is just so clearly elsewhere. But if you want to know exactly where it is, it's actually violating criminal law. And Chris Murphy broke that down right here.
You probably saw news that last week the Trump administration took this airstrike on a boat off the coast of Venezuela. First of all, we have sort of no information on who was on that boat or who was killed. It might be, as the Trump administration says, members of a drug cartel. It might be civilians. We don't know. But there's two important things here that are really concerning that you need to know about. First is the president has no legal authority to take that strike. We are not at war with Venezuela. We have not declared war against any of the cartels there. This is a president who every single day is acting like the law doesn't apply to him. That's a problem domestically as he uses the Department of Justice to target and harass his political enemies. But arguably this is a even bigger deal internationally, because if the president can take strikes against anyone anywhere without congressional authorization, then he can also drag us into wars overseas without any debate domestically. This is the most irresponsible, reckless president America has ever seen. And to let him engage in military activity overseas without the consent of the American people, it's so dangerous. But the other reason this matters is that his stated reason for taking the strikes to try to stop the flow of drugs in the United States, it makes no sense as the centerpiece of a counter-narcotics strategy. The Venezuela-Caribbean route, it's just not the main way that drugs come into this country. And to the extent it is, it's about the cocaine trade. The drug that is killing Americans right now is fentanyl. And fentanyl comes in through the Central American route, through Mexico. At the very same time that Trump is ordering these strikes on the boat in Venezuela, he's gutting the programs that we use to interrupt the drug trade coming through Central America and Mexico. We have dramatically fewer resources to stop fentanyl coming to the United States while we're taking airstrikes against a boat off the Venezuelan coast. This is a recipe for more drugs, specifically more fentanyl, to come into the United States. This doesn't make sense as a counter-narcotic strategy. It is not allowable by law. It's a complicated, important story, but it's a story that we really have to talk about.
We have been having right now what I think is an important conversation about political violence in America. Certainly people on the left have. The right has been having a conversation. It's not as important. It's a little bit out of touch. It's very myopic, the view they have of what is political violence. They just want to focus on a select few shootings, which is funny because I thought that they didn't even acknowledge that shootings happened. They don't want to have a conversation about gun violence, of course, but they don't take stock of the attack on Paul Pelosi, the attack on our Capitol, or the attacks that Donald Trump carries out every single day, courtesy of Pete Hegseth and Kristi Noem. Ripping families apart violently in communities in which people just want to build a better life for themselves, that is political violence, by the way. These illegal bombings when Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth decide that they get to be judge, jury, and executioner on international waters, violating criminal code, that is political violence too. I know that they don't want to acknowledge that or take stock of it or really care because they don't view all human lives as equal and worthy of protecting. But I think that we as Democrats, when we are working to build back trust in our party, need to have what Zohran Mamdani describes as a universality in our politics. It is not just enough to say we want to stop political violence when it is, of course, acts against political figures. That's true. But when our politicians are instructing violence to be carried out, when they are sending their mass thugs, that is too. And of course, Democrats call that out. But I think we need to talk about the universality of care for those who that violence is being inflicted on, because it is also being inflicted on children in Gaza who are starving, people in Palestine being bombed mercilessly with our tax dollars. And that is political violence that we should all want to condemn, call out, and see ended. And if we do not talk about that universality, I think our message, as important as it is, begins to fall flat. And so I think that we need to take universality and a condemnation of political violence and rooting out corruption and all of those things that we want to focus on. And we are certainly going to do so on this show. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And if you want to support the show in another way, you can. Become a subscriber to my Substack right here or down below. I hope you enjoy your Saturday. Maybe not as much as Pete Hegseth, but keep on fighting. Don't let him silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.